Welcome to my YouTube channel. Myself Ujjwal Boro. This is the part 2 video on environmental studies. This presentations is on people development and environment. People's well-being and quality of life depends on sustainable development, which improves economic, social and environmental conditions. Development must balance growth with environmental protections to ensure resources are available for future generations. The environment encompassing air, water, land, and ecosystem is vital for health and livelihoods, and its degradation impacts human well-being. Key challenges include balancing economic growth with conservations, addressing climate change through international cooperations, and managing resources sustainably. Integrating these aspects ensures that development meets present needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet theirs. So these are the content of these presentations. First is the Millennium Development Goals, Sustainable Development Goals, Principles of Sustainable Goals, Pillars of Sustainable Development, National and International Conventions. First is the Stockholm Conference, that is happened in 1972, then Earth Summit 1992, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change UNFCCC, and the Kyoto Protocol, Convention on Biological Diversity, United Nations Conventions to combat desertifications, Vienna Conventions on the protections of the ozone layer, Conventions on Migratory Species, that is CMS, International Union for Conservation of Nature, that is IUCN, Convention on International Trade of Endangered Species of Wild Flora and Fauna, that is CITES, then Ramsar Convention on Wetland, Basel Convention on Transboundary Movement of Hazardous Substances. So the Millennium Development Goals. The Millennium Development Goals were a set of 8 international development goals that were established following the Millennium Summit of the United Nations, that is happened in 2000. The goals were designed to address a wide range of global challenges including poverty, hunger, disease and inequality, with the aim of improving the lives of people in developing country by 2015. The MDGs were agreed upon by all 191 United Nations member states, at least 22 international organizations. Let's discuss one by one. First one is the eradicate extreme poverty and hunger. For example, imagine a village where many families cannot afford to eat 3 meals a day. These goals aim to help these families by providing food programs and job opportunities so they can have enough to eat and improve their living conditions. Then achieve a goal to, that is achieve universal primary educations. For example, think about a community where some children do not go school because their families cannot afford it. This goal ensures that all children, regardless of their background, can attend primary schools and receive a basic education. Then promote gender equality and empower women. For example, in some places girls might not be allowed to go to schools or work like boys. This goals focuses on giving girls and women the same opportunities as boys and men, such as going to schools and getting jobs. Then fourth, reduce child mortality. These, for example, consider regions where many young children die from preventable diseases like measles or diarrhea. These goals aim to reduce the number of these deaths by providing vaccines, clean water and better health care. Then the fifth, improve maternal health. For example, imagine a scenario where many women die during childbirth due to lack of medical care. These goals works towards ensuring that pregnant women have access to proper health care to have a safe pregnancy and delivery. Then sixth, combat HIV or AIDS, malaria and other disease. For example, think of a country where many people suffer from diseases like HIV, AIDS, and malaria. These goals aims to provide medicines, educations, and prevention measures to reduce the spread and impact of this disease. Then 7, ensure environmental sustainability. For example, imagine a city where the air is very polluted, and forests are being cut down. The goal focuses on actions like reducing pollution, protecting forest, and promoting clean energy to keep the environment healthy for future generation. Then the 8 millennium goals, that is the develop a global partnership for development. For example, consider a small country that needs help to build schools and hospitals. This goal encourages richer countries and international organizations to work together and support poorer countries with resources, knowledge, and technology to develop and improve their infrastructure. So these are the Millennium Development Goals that is established by the United Nations in 2000 with a target date of 2015. Then this is the table same that is related to the Millennium Development Goal. So here are some indicators are there. So let's discuss. In the goal 7, okay, the proportions of land area covered with forest. This measures how much of a country's land area is covered by forest, which is crucial for maintaining biodiversity and combating climate change. Then the consumption of ozone depleting substance. This tracks the reductions in the use of chemical that harm the ozone layer, protecting the earth from harmful ultraviolet radiations. Then the proportions of terrestrial and marine areas protected. This shows how much of the land and sea areas are designated as protected areas to conserve natural habitats and biodiversity. Then the proportions of people using improved drinking water sources. This measures access to safe and clean drinking water, crucial for health and well-being. Then the proportions of people using improved sanitation facilities. This measures access to facilities that safely dispose of human waste, reducing disease risk. Then the proportions of the urban populations living in slums. So this measures the percentage of people living in inadequate housing conditions, highlighting the need for improved living standards in urban areas. So these are the indicators of the goal 7 that have to imply. So next is the sustainable development. About the sustainable development, okay, so the word sustainability is derived from the Latin word that is sustainere, which means to hold up, to endure. Concept of sustainable development was widely accepted across the globe in 1987 after its appearance in the Brundtland report that is also referred as our common futures. This report was the result of United Nations Commission set up with the purpose to initialize the concept and practice of global agenda for science. It means to use natural resources in such a way that there is no damage to the development and can be used for longer time. That is as per the Cambridge English Dictionary. Then the World Commissions on Environment and Development, that is WCED, chaired by Brundtland, submitted a report that is the Our Common Future that I have already discussed. The report defines the concept of sustainable development as development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Then caring for the earth defines sustainable developments as improving the quality of human life while living within the caring capacity of supporting ecosystem. Then according to Dr. M.S. Swaminathan, an eminent environmentalist, defines sustainable development implies a futures in which standard of life is improved woodwise through economic development, where local environment and biosphere are protected and science is mobilized to create new opportunities for human progress. Then former President Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam expressed his view that sustainable development does not imply absolute limits to growth, and it is not a new name of environmental protections. The concept leads a unique meaning to development and sets an integrated target for the measurement of development, which has a combinations of parameters including economic status, poverty, education, health, women empowerment, harmony, physical connectivity, and environmental aspects. So in the conclusion, we can say that the term sustainable development refers to wise development strategies which meets the needs of present generations without any compromise for its availability to the future generation. Present scenario of sense in the environment conditions and resources due to over exploitation has led to urgent need for taking initiatives at global level with coordinations and cooperations to circumvent the deteriorations of the environment and its resources. Then the principles of sustainable development. So the principle of sustainable development receives international recognition from Brundtland Commission report that is in 1987. I have already discussed, was supported by all nations. Some of silent principles which underlines the concept of sustainable development were spelled out in Rio declarations that is in 1992. Then and Agenda 21, I will discuss about Rio declarations, then Agenda 21 in coming slide. Therefore these principles have been pursued for achieving the goals for sustainable development. So let's discuss one by one. Intergeneral equity. This principle accepts the right of each generations of human beings to derive benefit from cultural and natural resources of the past generations and obligations of the present generations to preserve such heritage for future generations. This principle highlights the need of conservation of biodiversity and renewable resources like air quality, water, forest, soil, etc. The principles of intergeneral equity has evolved from first and second principles of the Stockholm Declarations that is in 1972 with the aim of preservation and improvement of human environment. These principles, that is the first one is the man has the fundamental right to freedom, equality and adequate conditions of life in an environment of quality that permits a life of dignity and well-being, and he bears solemn responsibility to protect and improve the environment for the present and future generations. Then the second principles, the natural resources of the earth including the air, water, lands, flora and fauna, and specially representative samples of natural ecosystem must be safeguarded for the benefit of the present and future generations through careful planning and management as appropriate. Then the second principle is the use and conservation of natural resources. This principle necessitates the conservation of natural resources in such a way that these can be made available for the future generation. Poverty, population explosion, urbanizations and industrialization has led to depletions of natural resources, and shortage of these resources is possible in future. Therefore there is urgent need to develop techniques and technologies which minimize the need for utilization of natural resources. The principle of use and conservation of resources is based on the theory that the present generation should wisely exploit natural resources for preserving these of the future generation. This will ensure favorable survival conditions of for future generation. This principle has been accepted by the international community in the form of principle 8 and 23 of the Rio Earth Summit declarations that is in 1992. Then environmental the third principle is the environmental protections. Environmental protections is vital for sustainable development. Most of the nations have implemented environmental protections laws for sustainable development. Effective environmental protections mechanism is needed to strengthen sustainable development. Poor pollutions is the major suffer from environmental degradations as large part of their livelihood is dependent on environmental resources. Policy decisions should be environmental oriented and well planned so as to ensure that there is no degradations in the natural environment. The environmental, for example, Environmental Protections Act that is in 1986 has been implemented in India for conservations and protections of environment. Some other pollutions control and preventions laws have been enforced at national and states level. Ban on polythene, outdated vehicles, etc. in some states as per need are some of the initiatives for preserving environment from degradations. The ultimate aim is to ensure sustainable development for protections of environment from being degradation or polluted. That is the environmental protection. Then the precautionary principles. The precautionary principle aim to cap any human activity which is threat to the environment as a precautionary measures to prevent harm to environment, even if there is no scientific proof of linking that particular substance or human activity to environmental damage. So precautionary principles assumes that it is the responsibility of the industrialist to show that his actions is not harmful to environment. The precautionary principles of is essentially about the management of scientific risk of environmental protection. It is a component of the concept of sustainable development and has been defined in Principles 15 of the Rio Declarations that is in 1992. According to this principle, where there is threat of serious or irreversible environmental damage, lack of full scientific certainty should not be used as a reason for postponing measures to prevent environmental degradations. In other words, any human activity or behavior which bears the harmful effect to the environment has got to prevent at all costs. Precautionary principles has received legal recognitions worldwide along with India. For example, in Narmada Bachao Andolon, court explained that when there is a state of uncertainty due to lack of data or material about the extent of damage or pollutions likely to be caused, then in order to maintain ecological balance, the burden of proof that the said balance will be maintained must necessarily be on the industry or the unit which is likely to cause pollution. So that is the precautionary principles. Then the fifth principles, that is the polluter pay principles. Polluter pay principle was considered to be one of the best method for preventions of environmental pollutions. Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, that is OECD members, incorporated the principles of polluters pay in their environmental policies to discourse subsidies that could be detrimental for trade. This was considered necessarily for the protections of environment and save the country from threats posed by environmental pollutions by industrial development. But there were practical difficulties in working on the scope of the applicability of principles. The polluters pays principles was recognized as an integral part of the sustainable development by the international community, and it was incorporated as Principle 16 of the Rio Declarations of Art Summits, that is in the year 1992. The principles read as follows. Okay, the Principle 16, national authorities should endeavor to promote the internationalizations of environmental costs and the use of economic instruments taking into account the approach that the polluters should in principles bear the cost of pollutions with due regard to the public interest and without distorting international trade and investment. Let's talk. In India, Supreme Court ensure the need of polluters pay principle as fundamental objective of government environmental policy to prevent and control pollutions in MC Mehta v. Kamal Nath case. The court in this case observed that the calculations of environmental damages should not be on the basis of claim put forward by the party, but it should be on the basis examinations of the situations by the court, keeping in view the factors such as deterrent natures of the award. Himachal Pradesh government to take over the area and restore it to its original natural conditions. The motel was built by encouraging forest land due to the political influence and resulted in floods in Beas River. In this case, Kodak's motel was asked to pay compensations by way of cost for restorations of the environmental and ecology of the area. The pollutions caused by various constitutions made by the motel in the river and the banks of on the river beach was asked to be removed and reversed. So that is the polluters pay principles. Then the principles of liability to help and cooperate. So these are the 6 known principles. So this principle has been specifically incorporated in Rio Declaration, that is in 1992, as principle 9. According to this, the state should cooperate to strengthen indigenous capacity building for sustainable development by improving scientific understanding through exchange of scientific and technological knowledge, and by enhancing the development, adaptations, diffusions and transfer of technologies, including new and innovative technologies. Then principle 10 of the Rio Declaration further emphasizes on the public participation for addressing environmental issues. Then principle 12 emphasizes on the need for mutual cooperation in environmental issues between the states to cooperate to promote a supportive and open international economic system for economic growth and sustainable development in all countries. Principle 27 abide by the mutual cooperation of people and the state in good faith and in spirit of partnership in the future's development of internationals in the field of sustainable development. So that is the principles of liability to help and cooperate. Then the 7 known principles, that is the poverty educations. Poverty is the major obstacles in development and is the contributing factor for polluting the environment. The former Prime Ministers of India, let's Indira Gandhi said, of all pollutants we face, the worst is poverty. While addressing the Stockholm Conference on Human Environment in 1972, the Broadland Report 1987 also mentions poverty as a potential cause of environmental degradation, as it reduces the use of natural resources in a sustainable manner by the people. This leads to pressure on environment, resulting in its deterioration. Developing nations are facing the problem, which is adversely affecting the environmental quality. The Earth Summit 1992 anticipated the need to eliminate poverty for achieving the goal of sustainable development, mainly in developing countries. More than 30% of the populations in India is living below the poverty line, and that time scarcity of the resources, unhygienic living conditions, spreading of epidemics and development of slums are the serious threats for the integrity of environment. India needs corporations and assistance from the development countries to help support the poverty alleviations program and prevent environment. United Nations Development Program, that is UNDP, is continuously supporting India from more than 50 years for achieving goals of sustainable development. Various initiatives taken for reductions of poverty include DISA, creating employment and entrepreneurship opportunities for women in India, improving efficiency of healthcare system, improving efficiency of vaccination system in multiple states. And the principles of public trust. So this it is related to the preservations of natural resources. Forests are valuable natural resources and the state is trusted, therefore it is the moral and legal obligations of the government to protect forests from destructions by indiscriminate use. Preservations of these natural resources leads to reductions in soil erosion, increased fertility and maintaining climate, rainfall and groundwater level. But despite these benefits from forest destructions of the constructions of industries, complex and other commercial purposes is being done widely. Government should take efficient measures to protect and preserve the valuable natural resources as a trustee, and people should cooperate with the administration to protect environment from degradations. Public participation in the process of decisions making for environment protection should be strengthened. So these are the principles of sustainable development. So pillars of sustainable development. So let's discuss one by one. So environmental, there are three pillars, that is environment, economy, society. You can see in this diagram. So in environmental viability, these aspects, environmental viability, these aspects focuses on developing ideas and products that put the less risk on the environment and minimizes resources consumption. The life cycle assessment of any product can describe its production's uses and impact as waste dump of the environment. The products with lower water and carbon footprints can be sustained environmentally for a longer period. Then economic feasibility. From the businesses and profitability perspective, economic viability, profitability is the most important driving force in the long run. A business's pattern in coherence with the concept of environment conservation is likely to last longer successfully. The industrial sector anywhere in the world relies on natural resources, for example coal, fresh water, wood, metals, minerals, etc. They are essential raw materials for major industrial processes. Ensuring their availability in the long run is crucial to the health of the industry. Whenever the supply states reducing the manufacturers and processing cost increase reflected in its final pricing. Then the social accessibility. For any environmentally sustainable idea to be successful, it must be accepted and adopted. The social acceptance comes with the convenience of use, appropriate pricing, upliftment of the local indigenous talents and resources. All the stakeholders in the society, employers, employees, consumers have to be satisfactorily involved. So these are the pillars of sustainable development. This involves minimizing environmental impact, ensuring long-term resource availability for profitability, and gaining societal acceptance through convenience, fair pricing, and local engagement. These factors collectively support sustainable development and long-term successes. Then the sustainable development goals. Let's discuss one by one. It is given by United Nations member states, adopted 17 goals, that is known as sustainable goals. So first is the no poverty. You can see in this slide. So much no poverty, much progress has been made on eradicating poverty since 1990, but the poverty figures indicate that a large populations of the world is still poor. Populations living on wages of less than $2 per day is in South Asia. It is important to address poverty imperatively, as it is mostly the poor who are more vulnerable to climate change. One important thing, these 17 goals strive for sustainability, taking up different social and environmental causes and successfully attaining them by 2030. So then the second one is the zero hunger. So with the development of agricultural technology, food production has increased and the number of people dying of hunger has decreased drastically. Food security remains a major challenge as the quality parameters of food are not met in many developing countries. Malnutrition is affecting millions of children and adults present day also. Then third number, good health and well-being. This goal is to achieve good health for all and well-being at all ages. Good health is primary for development of a healthy society. A large population in developing countries does not have access to health services, insurance. Much progress has been made in increasing life expectancy and medicines availability for chronic and life-threatening diseases like diabetes and blood pressures, etc. Yet a lot is left to achieve. The goal would be fulfilled only when the health services is the poorest of the poor. Then the fourth is the quality educations. This aims to achieve quality and inclusive education from learning and obtain skills for a lifetime, providing job opportunities. Then fifth non gender equality. Much work that women do in the formal and informal sectors goes unnoticed as women are either not paid or paid less than their male counterparts. This goal is set to achieve gender equality for women in all spheres of life. The work done by women can contribute sustainably to the economic growth of the country. Then the clean water and sanitation. There is a large part of the world's populations that do not have access to clean drinking water, and many more do not have access to clean sanitation service. Both are primary requirements for a healthy life. Lacking these, people are subjected to many water-borne diseases. Huge infrastructural investment are needed to provide clean drinking water and sanitation services to all. Then the affordable seventh known goal is the affordable and clean energy. Energy is essential requirement for development in the industrial, agricultural, and domestic sectors. In India, we have been dependent on energy from non-renewable sources for a long time. The need of the hour is the availability of energy for all generated in an environment-friendly manner. Non-conventional sources hold the key to the futures of energy. India has taken a key step towards developing solar energy through the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, giving subsidies to set up solar power plants. International Solar Alliance to increase the use of solar energy through solar panels is a great commitment of India towards a sustainable future. Then the 8 decent work and economic growth. These goals aims to promote sustainable economic growth and simultaneously provide decent working conditions. This also tries to support technological innovations that are environmentally friendly and save resources. Then the ninth non-goal sustainable goal, that is the industry innovations and infrastructure. These goals promotes technological innovations to address problems like urbanizations, mass transportations, cheaper renewable energy, etc., and even internet connectivity, that is the crucial in the spread of information and knowledge. Then the 10 reduce inequalities. These goals intends to reduce the economic inequality that exists in society. At top few percent of the populations own or governs the majority of these resources. This inequality is less in developed countries and high in developing countries. The ecological footprint data from across world highlight this disparity. Then the 11 sustainable cities and communities. This goal is about making our cities and urban areas more sustainable. With technological development and industrializations on the rise, urban sprawls come up and spread very fast. A large populations of the world would be living in urban areas than rural by 2050. To make those cities able to thrive, populations growth pattern has to be sustainable response. Then the 12 responsible consumptions and production. Natural resources on earth are environmental sustainably limiting the economic growth rate. To keep balance between resource availability, meeting the entire population's basic needs, sustainable consumption and production hold the key. Then the 13 climate actions. Climate change is an environmental emergency experienced by all the world countries to a different extent. The effect comes from an increase in the Earth's average temperatures and frequent recurrence of natural calamities. Mostly, it is the poor that bear the brunt of it. Huge infrastructural investment in shifting to lower carbon emissions industrial processes and energy productions is must keep climate change under control. Then the 14, life below water. Oceans are major carbon reservoir and host to a great biodiversity. Fish and other seafood are a major source of food throughout the world. Fish stocks are to overexploited to maintain a sustainable populations mechanized fishing populations. Climate change, ocean acidifications is harming biodiversity like never before. These goals aims to manage marine and coastal system sustainability. Then the 15 known SDG. That is life on land. Land and forest resources are extensively utilized and diverted for urbanization, industrializations, agriculture uses, and roads. Biodiversity conservation is a must to maintain the ecosystem processes, food chain, and prevent further degradations of land leading to desertifications. Then the 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions. The three pillars of sustainable development I have discussed would only be fulfilled when there is a peace and functioning law and order situations in the community. Disturbance, gender inequality, insecurity, and violence in the community hampers the region's economic growth and prosperity. Strengthening institutions for the establishment of peace and security in society is essential for complex sustainability. Then the 17, that is the partnership for goals, environment, partners for goals. So, environment sustainability is a comprehensive process that requires coordinations between developed and developing countries to cope better with the natural disasters and technological exchange for environment-friendly industrial productions and processes. According to the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development Investment, trillions of dollars are required to accomplish SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, that is sustainable. So all these goals may seem independent but work holistically to make an environmental sustainable state a comprehensive set of indicators is developed and updated regularly to measure these goals implementation status. So these are the sustainable development goals. So this is all about in this video. In the next video I will discuss this national and international convention. So due to time factor it is not possible to discuss in this video. So thank you so much.